Hey guys, it's Michelle here with Magnolia Grove Homestead. I am here to do our third week garden tour. Today is Tuesday actually. Last week the video was made on Wednesday, and I had all intention of editing the video and putting it out at a decent time, but I had a lot of tech issues, and so I think the video came out like 10:30 at night or something, and it probably wasn't that great just because I had to edit it on my phone because my software wasn't working, the computer wasn't working, you name it. So I'm gonna start shooting these videos the day before, and then you will see them on Wednesdays. So I wanted to walk you around the garden. Not a whole lot has changed. I was just taking a peek at things, and there's a lot of stuff that I need to do. So we're gonna take notes as we go. And get me a little chore list going. But as usual, I guess we'll start over at our first raised bed, and there's something pretty neat I want to show you guys. So these are the onions, right? And I was asking y'all what these things were because I've never seen that before, but I guess I've never let them stay long enough. So this has now opened up, and I'm assuming that's where my seeds are, which is pretty awesome, but I've got to do some more research as to how to harvest these seeds and when to harvest them. That's pretty awesome. This arugula has bolted, went to flower, went to seed. So it's been getting warmer around here, and actually the end of this week it's supposed to be 90 degrees, and so I kind of figured some of my stuff would bolt, but this all will be ripped up and I'll put something else there. These here are the peppers, and they're still doing good. They're chugging along. Not a whole lot going on in the way of flowers and that kind of thing, but I don't want that. What I want is growth. Now you notice the difference between the ones that I pruned the tops off of and the ones I haven't. These are starting to send out little, I don't know if they're called suckers on peppers or not, but I'm not going to prune that off. There's a lot of new growth on these pepper stems though, because they've been able to put a lot of energy into that. And of course, this is the kale. I came out and harvested quite a bit over the weekend and shared some with some friends, but it's still going strong. Kale, like I've told you, kale will, as long as you keep it picked, it will continue to produce until it gets really hot. Now at the end of this week, when it starts to get like 90 degrees, I'm not expecting that to do a whole lot. It may even go to seed. I don't know. But for the most part, as long as it's not too hot and the conditions are right, kale will continue to produce. That's why it's great over like a fall, winter crop, because it won't be too hot, and as long as you keep it picked, it'll keep making, or keep producing. Back here, y'all know all the cabbages. These are, the smaller ones are the ones from seed. And actually that looks like broccoli. That doesn't look like cabbage. Those look like the broccoli plants that we started from seed. These are cabbages for sure. They're the red cabbage. Again, it's starting to get warm. The buggies are coming out, so I'm not sure how great they're going to do. I still don't have my cattle panels just yet. Hopefully that will happen this weekend. We had some other things come up over the weekend, so we weren't able to go get them. But these are, I believe, the zucchini. And then spinach. Y'all, I gave away spinach twice over the weekend, and there's still a ton. Here are the marigolds. They're starting to grow more flowers. Hello. Yeah, look at that head of cabbage back there. You see that? My father-in-law came by over the weekend. He needed to pick up some cedar posts because he's going to work on a fence or something. And so he came by and he got all excited. and he was telling me how he's going to start his own garden, and he came out and looked at all my stuff, and I walked back here, and he was like, you know, you got cabbage, it's almost ready to pick. I was like, I know. It was really exciting. So I'm gonna see if I can stretch out these cabbages at least to Thursday, and then I'll probably harvest them because it's just gonna get too hot, and I don't want all the bugs to eat all the leaves. I don't mind some bugs getting in my stuff just because I can soak it in salt water and it'll get rid of all that stuff, but I don't want my produce to be just completely riddled and turned into lace before I know it either. So I'm probably gonna grab those this week, hopefully towards the end of the week. Over here at the end of this bed, we've got the pea stuff going on. So all of these are setting flowers now. These are the sugar snap peas. And they're starting to grow on up. These Magnolia peas here, they have these beautiful purple blooms at the top. Now, I've never grown this kind of pea before, so I don't know if it's normal that they only bloom at the top. I don't know. But they're very viney, but they're not very loaded with peas. Like I said, they're producing blooms at the top of the vines, but not really anywhere else, which to me is kind of weird. But honestly, I am most excited with my Burpiana early peas. These things are loaded. Look here. So there's all these new flowers here, but then if you look down, we got all these little baby peas. Oh, something broke that. All these little peas here. They're so cute. These plants are just loaded. They're just everywhere. Look. At all those. So hopefully it won't be long and we'll be harvesting peas from that little pea trellis pretty soon. I don't know how it's going to be like next week or the week after, but right now I'm not as excited about my Magnolia peas as I was. Maybe that'll change. We'll see. You live and you learn, right? Over here at the tomato bed, though, things are going pretty good. I would say I need my cattle panel. I'm going to run a cattle panel straight up the middle of this bed, and that way everything can grow and trellis to it. I just don't have that yet, and like this guy, he's starting to fall over because he's starting to get heavy. I also have to go through and prune everything. Look at those leaves from the eggplant. For whatever reason, these bugs love these eggplant leaves. This is the Armenian Cucumber. This lemon cucumber died, so we'll find something else to put there or just leave it blank. And then there's the shooting star eggplant, which is riddled with holes too. I don't know. I treated with DE, but then it rained like day after day after day. Then I found this stuff on the internet, on Amazon. It's called Trifecta, and it's crop control. It has thyme oil, clove oil, garlic oil, peppermint oil, corn oil, geranium oil, citric acid, rosemary oil. And it's supposed to treat mold, pests, and mildew. It's supposed to be ready to use. You just spray it on the crop. And it's supposed to help with like all the pests and stuff. I came out here the other day and sprayed like half this bottle is what it took to spray everything out here. But I think I'm just gonna like maybe spot treat, because this stuff, I mean, it's not cheap. I think I might just spot treat some of the more damaged areas and try to keep up with things that way. This is not, they're not paying me to say this. I'm just using this and letting y'all know that this is what I'm using. But so you can spray just the one crop. I'll go ahead and spray this cucumber too. I mean, if nothing else, if for no other reason, to spray this stuff out here in the garden, and it smells good. It smells really good. So, anyway, these are the tomatoes. Now, I have to come out here and put down, I think I'm going to put newspaper around the base of the plants, and then mulch in with straw or something. Just because I don't want this. What's happening to this? These leaves are getting wilty and curled up. Now this thing needs some water, but it's also really, really prone to like splashback. So if it rains or something, anything that's on this soil is going to splash up on these leaves. And tomato foliage is just so picky. I just don't want to have to deal with that. Now, these two are the Sun Gold tomatoes. I'm not going to prune them. Y'all see these suckers and whatnot. I'm not pruning these. These are little like cherry tomatoes, and I'm not messing with them. But these, I definitely need to prune. All four of these are my Cherokee purples. And all these little suckers right here need to come out. And when it grows up more, these bottom vines need to come off. Just because I need that energy put into the root system, and I also need to help this plant not get disease. And so the more that you keep the bottom area clean, the more air can flow, the less likely it is to have problems with like splashback and that kind of thing. And the healthier the plant will be overall, especially since I have these tomatoes planted pretty thick. They're 18 inches apart, and so I need to make sure that the bottom of these plants can really breathe. And I just want, like I've told you before, I just want that one main stalk and then the fruits to come off the side. I don't want all this other stuff. I don't want them bushing out or whatever. I just want them to be healthy, tall, strong plants. And so you have to be careful sometimes when they're young like this. You don't want to over prune them too soon. But you also want to keep on top of it, because if not, the next thing you know, one of those suckers is going to turn on into another main stem, and now that root system is trying to feed two separate plants is how it feels. And that's a lot of work for those kind of plants. And so I want all their energy to go into those good fruits. These potatoes, I told y'all last week I had to come out here and put dirt in here, and I failed to do that. And so now they've grown up. I'm going to do that today. At the end of this video, y'all remind me to put dirt on my potatoes. I'm going to fill these pots up. And that'll be the end of that for those potatoes. And then they will just grow, flower, die off, and then we can harvest them. At the end of this bed, we still have these two mystery tomato plants that I have yet to plant. And then these are the squash. I am fairly certain that I'm correct in saying that these are squash, and the ones behind me in the other bed are zucchini. Just because of the way that the stems are and the foliage. The foliage and stems on squash have these little like prickly things. And that's that plant's defense system. Over here, These are the black Creme tomatoes. They're doing great, but again, I need to come out here and work on them because they're just getting full of junk that they don't need to be dealing with. Gracious. I got my work cut out for me, y'all. And then Mr. Stripey, I'm going to prune these pretty heavily also. Up here are my German Johnsons. They are absolutely getting pruned. What are you doing? A weed or something. So I'm absolutely going to prune these heavily because they make great big fruits. Now those Romas over there, I'm not going to prune. These first four are the Roma Tomatoes, and I'm not pruning those. Here is the basil, and I harvested basil over the weekend and shared with some friends. And if you didn't know, in order to make your basil plant kind of bush out and get bigger instead of just tall branches, if you take, you see this one, I left it. It's kind of one long stem here. You'll see that? But if you take this top piece off, right above these two leaves that shoot out from the sides, if you pinch that off, then this plant will then make two more shoots and two more shoots. As long as you keep it going, it'll keep doing that. And eventually, it will bush out and be a big bushy plant that you can continue to harvest off of. But right now, it's still, it's still early for this plant. I'm just trying to train it while it's small. Man, the smells of the garden are just heavenly to me today. Man, I forgot to show y'all my beets. So I told you last week that I've had people tell me, oh, well, you can't transplant beets because they're a root vegetable and roots don't need to be transplanted. They need to be just left alone because you don't want to disturb their root system. And maybe that's the case for some people. Not going to say anybody's right or wrong, but I can just show you my beets that I transplanted. So they were thickly sown in this bucket here, and I took some out and transplanted them along the edge of this tomato bed because they're not going to get so big that the tomato stems at the bottom can't breathe and have good airflow, especially when they get taller and I keep pruning them. There were a couple of beets that I wasn't too sure about last week, but as you can see, they are all thriving this week. They are doing great. I think it was these two and then this one over here. When I transplanted them, they were kind of slumped over and I was like, well, I don't know if they're going to make it. But they're doing good. They're doing really good. They picked up the pace. Decided they wanted to live another day, and so they're doing good. Over here in the green stalks, I got something new. I have not made a video about it. I have a couple more that I want to put out, but green stalk makes these support rings, and it's essentially a ring that goes around the outside of the green stalk so that things like tomatoes, beans, things like that that are going to come out, climb, need support, can have the support that they need from the container. So I got a pack of 3. You can get just an individual ring, or you can order them in packs of 3. It's a little cheaper that way, I think. And I put the first one up at the bottom around my tomatoes. So I will use all 3 rings on this one green stalk, just because the bottom row is tomatoes. Then I have strawberries. They're not going to be too crazy, right? But then I have more beans. And so I'm going to put a ring around so that those beans can hang and climb and vine around it. And then up here is where I have all these peppers. So they're not going to really need that much support. They're going to go straight up. But then at the top, I have more green beans and lima beans, and obviously a tomato plant over there. So they're gonna need, oh, and I got the cucumber up here too. So that is definitely gonna need some support. So when I get all those installed, I will make a separate thing and just kind of show you how to put them together. It probably won't be that long because it literally takes like 2 minutes, but just so that you know. But I'll take you around and show you. These things are getting huge in this green stalk. I am still not disappointed at all, any way, shape, or form with these green stalks. I'm so glad I made this purchase. I'm trying to look and see if we have any berries. There's a little strawberry. So from what I understand, this is the first year for these berries, so they may not do that great this year. But I had a friend who planted a strawberry patch in her yard. Last year it wasn't doing that great. So this year she didn't have high hopes for it. But this year she has huge whopping strawberries all over the place where that strawberry patch was. I need y'all to see this. Look how thick this stem of this tomato plant is. I mean, this is one more healthy tomato plant. It's kind of curved over. I thought that maybe that was broken, but it has curled over and it's hanging down. So it will come down and hit this ring here and get the support that it needs. This is my big old potato bed made out of cinder blocks. Very happy with it, although I didn't think this through. In those holes in the cinder blocks along the back, I have corn. And as long as it's not up underneath the leaves, it's fine. But the stuff that's under the leaves, like over here, I have okra. And I think those are some coneflowers that I threw in, and some more okra. It's just being covered up too much. You can definitely tell the difference between the one that's not covered and the ones that are. So I think when I pull those cabbages and the arugula, stuff like that, I'll go in and sow some okra. Maybe even some corn. I'm not sure if I'm going to sow corn in that bed or not. But maybe. And then in my lettuce pots here, you can see where I have harvested, and this lettuce is coming back. I gave away lettuce to 2 different people over the weekend. That's why it looks kind of thinned out, but I did that on purpose so that it will continue to grow. This one is pretty much the same way. I'm really hoping that my lettuce doesn't bolt at the end of the week. It might, because it's going to be really, really hot. The place that I have these containers sitting is for the most part shaded, so that might help it out. We'll just have to see. If not, I'll take it out and put something else in there. Over here at the leaf planter, y'all, this thing is loaded to the gills with stuff. Everything is doing so good. Again, I came out, harvested spinach off of here, some herbs, things like that. Look at that broccoli. It's like, hey, I'm still here. Oregano, and this gorgeous, lovely sage right here. Man, it's so pretty. This is the chard. Look how big those leaves are. That thing needs to be harvested. It's just taking off. Like, it's very, very healthy plants in here. I mean, look at that. How big these stems are and this stuff. All this stuff is so good, so healthy. Maybe not that leaf. Let's get rid of that. I just really need to go through and like give these things some TLC. Look, there's some beets. Those are golden beets. They're growing pretty good. Look how thick this stalk for the spinach is. That's huge. Again, have absolutely nothing to complain about with the green stalks. Nothing. They're awesome. I'm trying to convince my father-in-law to get some. He's talking about tilling up a big bed. But I don't know how well that's going to work out for him. Though he's very active for his age, so he might do good. But I think, especially for my mother-in-law, who is not about to be bending over digging stuff, I think something like the green stalks would be more beneficial for her, because she could still participate in growing, but not have to do all that very labor-intensive stuff. So I still have things to plant. Y'all, these have not made it into their home. That cantaloupe right there, I'm just not sure where I'm going to put it. And these flowers, as soon as I'm done making this video, these are going in the corners of the beds, and whatever they are is whatever they are, and however they turn out is however they turn out. Over here in the buckets, still have the same. That's the yellow pear tomato, Candyland tomato. This is the Bosque Blue Bumblebee tomato, which I'm excited about. I can't wait to see that thing fruit. Everybody around here knows like a handful of kinds of tomatoes, and so I went to this event over the weekend with my daughter, and somebody said, well, what kind of tomatoes are you growing? And I was like, well, I have a lot of different varieties. And of course, they started naming off the same stuff, and that was your German Johnsons, your Cherokee Purples, somebody said Romas, and then like Big Boy or Better Boy, whatever it is they sell at Lowe's. And I was like, well, yeah, but I also have blah, blah, blah. And they're just looking at me like I got 12 heads and one of them's missing an eye or something. They have no idea what I'm talking about. So I can't wait until those things fruit and I can go show them what I'm talking about. But speaking of very exciting things, it might not seem like much to people, but if you're a gardener, you get why I'm excited about this. So in my little bed that I threw together with just some bricks and compost, and me and Cole came out here and we sowed bean seeds. Y'all look. We got babies. So we sowed 7 seeds on each side of this bed, and I'm going to put a trellis up for them to climb on. And right now, though, those 4 or 5 are the only ones that have sprouted. But I don't think with the warm weather coming that it's going to be too much longer before the other side sprouts. I'm just really excited. Really excited about that. And of course, we have our broccolini plant that I'm intentionally letting go to seed. Now, from the research that I've done, they say that these little things here will flower, and then those flowers will turn into little pods. And when it turns into little pods, you can let them dry, and then you can get seed from there. So if all these flowers turn into pods that have multiple seeds, I will have plenty of broccolini seeds for plenty of time to come. So maybe next year we can get that to do a little bit better. But I wanted to show y'all something. Now, y'all gonna think I'm crazy, and that's okay because I do too. I came out here with my husband the other day, and I was like, well, honey, it's fixing to be really, really hot weather, and I need to get these cabbages up. And I need to plant something else here. And so we came over here and we started looking at stuff. And I said, well, I don't know why these right here are coming to a head, but these aren't. I said, well, maybe that's a different kind of cabbage that I planted. Y'all, we got to looking. This ain't cabbage at all. It's cauliflower that I forgot I even planted here. So far, this is the only one that has headed up. And the rest of them, they're doing like they're trying. But I don't know if it's going to get too hot for them to actually do anything. So I'm still probably going to end up harvesting all these. And then I'm going to take these leaves and I'm going to chop them up. People say that you can just take the leaves and slice them and saute them. And they'll be good. So we're going to try it. But I don't want to waste anything. And if we don't like it, the chickens will eat it. But y'all look. These are the kohlrabi. Y'all see that? I know this camera is probably not that great. I'm not one of those people that has all this expensive equipment to show y'all these videos on, but look at that thing. So I'm definitely gonna harvest these soon too, and I'm probably gonna do it this week, hopefully before it gets real hot. Just go ahead and rip all this stuff up, and that way I can sow more okra, or you know, maybe even corn. The corn is gonna be so tall that I don't want it to block the sunlight from everything else, so I'm probably just gonna do okra, because even though okra gets kind of tall, it's not very, I don't know, I don't think it'll block it that much. We'll see. If so, I can always move something around like that. Spinach on the other side of this cabbage can honestly come out or be moved somewhere that's not so sunny, like over there with the other stuff in the shade toward the green stalks. I can always transplant that out and put it in a pot or something. I'm just trying to think through like where everything needs to go. And I wanted to show y'all too, and mostly kind of document this so that I will continue to think about it. One plan that I have. So Don was talking about that this all across the back of this fence here, where we've got these cedar logs and stuff, we can move all them logs, or use all them logs actually, and till up the land back here and plant stuff in the ground. Now I know there are some people who are like anti-till, like they're very, very staunch about it. And I understand that. I've done some research, but I also know that that's how my grandma gardened, and everybody was fine. So anyway, I love my raised beds because they are aesthetically pleasing. It is very easy to get good quality salt in there from the beginning because you're putting it in there. You're not having to depend on whatever's in the ground. And I can just lazy girl garden, y'all. I can just sit down on the side of the bed and reach over and grab stuff and do my little stuff. And it's not like bending over and kneeling on the ground, which I'm not, you know, I can do that. It's not that I'm like so old I can't, but I'm just saying, they're just so much easier. So I'm thinking about, if we come out here in the yard, I can probably show you better. But, oh, y'all gotta look at my apple trees too. I about forgot to show you. I didn't show you last week. Alright, so across the back of the yard here, we got an old building that's falling apart. And then the greenhouse, the chicken coop is like smack dab in the middle. And then we got my garden we've started, right? So I'm thinking, there's a gate back there though, that kind of messes everything up. But I'm thinking about moving the greenhouse over to the back and ditching that building or moving it, but I don't know how we're going to move it because the floor's falling out of it. And putting raised beds all the way through here too. And then we'll have the chicken coop. Y'all see the little flower bed I planted for them? They can sit there and peck on the marigolds through the fence, or when we feel like ripping some off and feeding them to them, we can do that too. And then I've got these 2 raised beds. This right here, so I need to leave that space from the fence back there open. I don't know if y'all can see it, but we need to be able to get through there. But at the same time, there's a lot of space on the side of that fence where I could plant more stuff. So, I don't know. We'll get it figured out. Maybe by the time we get done with garden tours, I will have my life together and have everything moved around like I want it and be ready to get started for fall gardening. But here's my apple trees. Look, this one is just putting off all kind of leaves. It's doing great. This one I still feel like got injured somehow, and I'm not real sure what to do about it. I mean, it started putting off leaves, but it's like the bottom half of it is only putting off leaves. The rest of it is not looking that great. And if you look real close, I don't know if you can see it, but right there, there's like a line. This part is greener, and then this part is like, it looks damaged or something, and it's just brown and dull looking. So I don't know if it's just going to be stunted, or if one of the kids broke something on it and now it's not going to grow right. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about apple trees, so this is my first year ever trying to grow any. So if y'all have any insight about whether I should dig it up and plant another one, or whether it'll work itself out, let me know. You can drop it in the comments below. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and shoot this 3rd week garden tour so that y'all can come around and see kind of how everything is starting to progress. And probably next week it's going to look a lot different. Probably a lot more bare, honestly, because it'll be seeds planted. And also, hopefully next week I'll have my cattle panels up and my trellises, and be able to walk you through how we did that, why we did that. But I do appreciate y'all hanging out with me today and showing up for my 3rd garden tour. I hope to be able to show y'all some new stuff next week. Until then, if you are enjoying my channel at all, go ahead, like and subscribe. Hit the little bell so that you don't miss any notifications for new videos that I show. Those woodpeckers just flew right by me. Sorry, I got totally distracted. That was so cool. They were like a foot away. Anyways, I will see y'all next week. Thanks. God bless.